today's event is broadcast live from London and Tokyo and features our special guest, Sue Fujimoto. Expo 2025, Osaka, Kansai, Japan, which runs until October 2025, invites countries and organizations from around the world to present ideas and solutions for a better future. Themed Designing Future Society for Our Lives, the Expo serves as a platform for sharing innovations that address global challenges from environmental sustainability to social well-being. It is being held on Umeshima, an island in Osaka Bay, and it offers a space where cutting-edge technology, culture, and creativity converge. As of August 2025, when we are broadcasting this webinar, it has attracted more than 15 million visitors. And encircling the Expo site, as can be seen on this image, is the iconic Grand Ring designed by Sue Fujimoto. It holds the Guinness World Record for the world's largest wooden architectural structure and is made of Japanese cedar and cypress wood, using technology used traditionally in the construction of Japanese shrines and temples. And in this talk, Fujimoto-san shares insights into the conceptual development and challenges of the Grand Ring project, offering a glimpse into how architecture can shape collective experiences and future societies. He also presents some of his recent projects, explaining how his approach continues to evolve across different scales and contexts. And the presentation will be followed by an opportunity for Sue Fujimoto to answer a selection of questions submitted by all of our attendees today. So please do send in your question. Thank you very much, Fujimoto-san. I see you've joined us from Tokyo. Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to have you, and thank you for your kind generosity and work in the past and now for Japan House London. We're greatly appreciative.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us. For those of our attendees, I'll give a little introduction of you as an internationally award-winning architect working in Japan and overseas. You are originally from Hokkaido and a graduate of the Department of Architecture at Tokyo University, and you established Sue Fujimoto Architects in the year 2000. You're well known to us in London, of course. You created the wonderfully innovative Serpentine Gala Pavilion in 2013, and your exhibition Futures of the Futures was our first exhibition at Japan House London in 2018. Your works that I've picked out some include House N in Oita, Tea House in Gunma, House NA and Musashino Art University Library in Tokyo, L'Arbre Blanc in Montpellier, which you introduced in 2018 to us, which is now, I think, complete, of course. Also a bus stop in Austria, a garden toilet with transparent walls in Ichihara, amongst many, many other things, of course. You were recently, and importantly for us today, selected as the lead site design producer for Expo 2025, Osaka, Kansai, Japan. So without further ado, let me hand over to you, Fujimoto-san. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward very much to hearing your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Simon-san. And yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sue Fujimoto, and thank you very much for joining today for your precious time. And I'm very happy to be here today because, as Simon-san said, 2018, yeah, the beautiful memory of my exhibition in Japan House London. It was really wonderful. And of course, yeah, like a wonderful memory of Serpentine Pavilion. So I'm really glad to come back here today. So I will talk about, yeah, my works, one in Montpellier, and then mainly for the Expo projects for about 40 minutes. And then after that, I will, yeah, have a nice conversation, question and answers. So let me share the screen. Do you see this? It's visible. Okay, so The title of my lecture is always the same, between nature and architecture. It is, it has been the same for more than 10 years or more, because I was born and grown up in Hokkaido, the northern island of Japan, and it's a really beautiful nature field. And I was really playing around in the forest behind my home. And so that, like the nature and the forest has been my really beautiful background. And then when I get into university, then I moved to Tokyo. And as you see in this image, it's really like the opposite situation. So I have like a two extreme opposite background. Tokyo, super artificial, like a chaotic city. And then the nature in Hokkaido, it's really like a, yeah, beautiful natural background. But I love both of them. And of course, I'm doing the architecture design, creating something artificial. So which means I like to combine both nature and architecture or artifacts together, blending them, harmonize them to create like a nice, wonderful coexistence of nature and architecture to create our better living environment. And especially the forest has been very, very important things for me. As I said, it is like a really my childhood background, but at the same time, the forest or forest-like space or architectural forest. Recently, I'm thinking it about like how to say the place of diversity in a sense. Within the forest, we have many different types of the creatures, different types of the species, and different trees, something. And then big space, smaller spaces, bright area, darker areas. So many different spaces are within the forest. So I feel if we can make the architecture like a forest, as a forest, then that kind of architecture will be the beautiful place which accept different types of the people, different types of the activities, different types of the thinkings together, like a place of the coexistence of diversity. And then sometimes could have a nice connections, nice link together. And that must be really like a beautiful model or visions for architecture for me, and also the beautiful model of the society. So in that sense, the forest or the place of the diversity and unity is getting very, very important for me. So the first project today is in France. It's a bit pity I couldn't introduce the project in UK because yeah, after the Serpentine, I didn't have any project in UK in London. That's so sad. And then now I have an office in Paris, but it's really close to London. So I hope, yeah, today's audience, I don't know how many audiences, I'm really welcome the projects together, like a collaboration in UK and in London. Yeah, really looking forward to that. But yeah, for today, I will talk about the project in France. Especially this is south of France, facing to the Mediterranean Sea, which means the climate is really wonderful. In summertime, like this, like August, not too hot, and then in wintertime, in February, for example, if it is sunny day, then you can have a lunch on exterior terrace. So that kind of a really, really beautiful weather, and then mostly sunny. And then the city likes to make the new housing tower in Montpellier, which could be the tallest building in this area. And then they intend to make it like the new landmark to represent the Montpellier uh, as a building. And then they had a competition, and finally we won. The idea was very simple because I like to respect the weather and I like to respect the lifestyle reacting or together with this beautiful sunny weather. So yeah, their lifestyle is they come out to outdoor terraces and then have a lunch or dinner or to do whatever kind of things on outside. So even those kind of the high rise, rather middle rise buildings, I like to create those kind of the wonderful outdoor spaces for their life. And then, yeah, we tested many different ideas to create what kind of outdoor spaces for the housings. And then finally, the idea was getting very, very simple solutions to have many, many large balconies sticking out from the building volumes. And the largest one is a 5 meter wide and then 8 meter deep. So it's really big. And then not only one balcony, that kind of a balcony for one unit, but the two, three, or sometimes four balconies sticking out from one unit. So it is really like a huge outdoor living space. Of course, they have a like an indoor housing unit, but the main living space is an outdoor space. And then finally, we have 200, in total, we have a 100, almost 100 units. And then we have 200 balconies and then 100 like pergolas. So as a result, as you can see, yeah, we made those kind of the like pineapple or pine cone, like really organic, like the building there. And this is a view from the one of the balcony, and then you can see because the balcony is large, so we have like many green pots, and then they can bring out many different furnitures and objects and parcels and whatever kind of your like the object of your life. But important things or very interesting things for me is you can see in this photo, some other balconies are floating above over there and or below around you vertically. And that is very, very interesting, like a composition because of course, yeah, you need a privacy. And then we can you can have a privacy within your indoor space. But once you are coming outdoor on the terrace, really large living space, then you can have, for example, 5 meter or 6 meter away, you can have the neighbors' balconies as well. And then you can, of course, you can do like a chat or you can do whatever you like. So keeping kind of the privacy, but at the same time, could have a nice communications with the neighbors. And these kind of the things is rather because normally in the middle of the city, the housing tower is really like a divided, and then you don't see any neighbors. So much isolated, and that's it. That has been like a standard of the housing tower. But is that like a right answer? We thought about it because we need a like the communications. We need the link. We need a like a neighborhood in a sense. So in this project, in those kind of the vertical composition of the extended balconies, we can re-achieve the feelings of the neighborhood while the proper distances. So you don't be so much disturbed by the neighbors, but still you can feel you are together with your friends, your neighbors. And especially this was completed in 2019, spring of 2019. And the next year, 2020, as you remember, we had a pandemic and then the lockdown happened everywhere. And then you need to be within your house and then you don't see anybody. And that was sad. But for this apartment, they can come out to the balcony because the distance is more than 5 meters. So it's like enough distances. And then you can have a talk. You can see all the neighbors are fine. And then all of them live together. That was like the power of the community. And then they felt like yeah, we are together, we are safe. And then they went through the pandemic. So I've heard about that kind of story after the pandemic. And then I really realized that dividing the individuals is not enough for us, for our life. The communications, community, and the neighborhood is getting more and more important in coming future, I believe. And then architecture design, of course, urban design as well. Architecture design could do something for that. And this is one of the proposal, one of the solutions. Of course, not the only one answer, but I believe this is really like making the possibilities and potentials to be there. So in that sense, of course, the appearance is really extreme. and crazy in a sense, but the life on it is really like a large open terraces, relaxing, and then the conversation with the neighbors together, like a community feelings. So it is really like something kind of a fundamental in a sense, primordial in a sense. But at the same time, these kind of things is for the future. And then open terraces is open to the nature. And yeah, I talked about the forest as a place of like the accepting different types of the lives, different types of the people's activities. And this is like the vertical forest in a sense, to accept, to allow many different lives on it. And then many different lives are interacting to each other to create like a wonderful neighborhood. And then even from outside, not only for the residents of these buildings, but the people who are living around these buildings feel, because this is open terrace, then they can feel, wow, so many people are living there, enjoying the life under the beautiful sun of Montpellier. And then they feel they are living together in this region, in this neighborhood. That is also creating the feelings of the community and the neighborhood. So not closing, not dividing, but more like a open and connected. That would be, I think, could be the future of the architecture design. And then I will talk about the expo design. 5 years ago, in 2020, I was appointed to be the master planner of this expo in Osaka, Kansai. And that was like a kind of a so sudden and unexpected. And I was wondering, should I do that or I should not do that? Because at that time we had the many scandals of the Tokyo Olympic Games 2020. They had many like a creators appointed and then canceled. And you remember the Zaha Hadid was selected as a like a stadium designer, but finally was canceled. So that kind of the very bad like the things happen, may, not only for the stadium design, but the logo designers or some like a performance for the openings or whatever. And it was like a very tough period for Japan, for the creator of Japan, to be involved in those kind of a national project. And then many the kind of the scandals, and then like you will be turned down. And so I was really wondering about it. And then I was also wondering about what is the meaning of the expo in this 21st century? Because, yeah, of course, it started from London, 1851, by the beautiful Crystal Palace. And at that time, of course, yeah, they had a wonderful meanings. And then in Japan, 1970, we had in Osaka, same in Osaka, really legendary expo happened. And then at that time, the Kenzo Tange designed the master plan of the expo. Um, so at that time, it was like the economical growth of Japan, and everybody was really like excited with the expo. But now this is a 21st century, and what is the meaning of the expo? So I started to think, I started to learn about the expo, bought a lot of books relating to expo, and then I was thinking about it. And then if I feel it is important to do the expo for myself and for I feel for Japan or for the world, then I should do that. If I am not convinced with the meaning of the expo, then I just say no. And then I thought about it, and then that was the time, of course, the COVID. And of course, the Expo 2025 at the time, we thought the COVID pandemic gets over. And then I thought about meeting in reality together with the people in the different countries after the COVID pandemic must be getting more and more precious in the world, because during the COVID, we only connected by online, but real meetings, real conversations, and real buildings and real experiences getting more and more important, I thought. And another thing is that was a time of like many division started globally, different like a cultural background, different like countries, everything is divided. Of course, yeah, we respect the diversity, but if the diversity ends up as like just a division, that's so sad, I thought. And then I thought about the expo must be like a really precious, purely precious opportunity where so many different countries come together in one place, in such a tiny place, stay there for 6 months, bringing many of their wonderful cultural background and then many natural like landscaping wonder, music, food, fashions, and people, everything. So that must be really like a precious opportunity to show the diversity of the world still could be together, still could be united. And then if so, if the meaning of the expo in the 21st century, in the era of division, if the meaning of the expo is like that, then I thought it's very important role to design a master plan, to send a message to the world that the wonderful diversity of the world can be together, can have the hope to be united, to create our future together. So that was the reason why I finally decided to be the master planner of the expo. And then that was the reason I finally designed this grand ring as a symbol of the unity. This is like a very simple vision, diversity and unity together. And this beginning of 21st century, the era of division and chaotic and sad era of the conflicts, era of the sad divisions, we can still say we can be, you can have a unity, respecting the diversity, a lot of different cultures, wonderful backgrounds, different countries, different people, but still we can be together. We can come in one place together. We can have like a hope to say that the whole world still can have the unity, wonderful, beautiful unity to create our future. And then these grand rings came out. All the national pavilions are within this grand ring. And then, of course, this choice of the shape of the circle is the most simplest shape in the world, in a sense, the circle. So any kind of the cultural background, any kind of the generations from the kids to the elderly people, they can just simply quickly recognize that, well, this is like the symbol of the unity. And now so many different countries are within these rings and harmonized and creating like our future together. So that is like a very strong, simple message. But of course, at the same time, as an architect, functional like a study happened simultaneously. Not only about those kind of the conceptual things, but functional things came out. And then we have like the entrance gate on the right hand, on the east gate, and then left hand on the west gate. This is almost like a decided because of the metro lines and then the stretched shape of the site. And then how we can create the main circulation path, avoiding too much like a crowded situation. And then finally, not just making the central plaza, not just making the central boulevard, but those kind of the circular shape of the main path could be very simple. And then dividing the people's flow in a different directions, but still on the same track. So very simple, making the flow and then avoiding like the loss of their way and then making the order. So from the researches of how we can create the flow of the people, then those kind of the rather round shape path came out. And then those kind of the functional like a study combined together with these conceptual thinkings of creating the unity and the diversity, then finally the Grand Ring came out. And of course, yeah, in Japan, we have in summertime we had a really strong sunlight, and then we had the rainy seasons. So we need the roof above that, the main circulation. So that's why this is like the huge roof, 60,000 square meter, 30-meter wide, and one around is 2 kilometers. So diameter wise, it's a 670-meter diameter. So it's huge, but it is like a huge main circulation path. And then we are on the artificial islands. This is the areas of like Osaka Bay, the central Osaka downtown is around here. Artificial island. So this is a flatland. If you are standing on the ground level of this island, you don't see the sea, even though you are on the island, because the wall around this artificial island is lifted up to block the waves, and then which is blocking the view from your ground level, eye level to the sea. And that's, I thought it's a really pity. So then I thought about bringing people up onto the roof. So to 12-meter high on the inner level, and then outer level is almost like a 20-meter high. So from that height, you can see the all around, the sea, Setouchi Inner Sea, Osaka downtown, Kobe City, and all around. So those kind of the functions of the viewing decks is also combined. And we also put the forest, real forest, in the middle of the expo site, because what to put on the center of the expo site is very important, like meanings. And then I thought about what is the most important things in our future. It's not something artificial. It's not like one buildings. It should be more like a nature. And then I thought about my background and my visions of the architecture. So the forest should be there. And then that's why we made a forest here, 100-meter, 150-meter diameter almost. And then the structure of this grand ring, huge wooden structure, is made by wood. Because as you know, in London, yeah, you have for, I think it's almost like for more than 10 years. And then of course I have the same like feelings in Paris office that the wooden timber structure, large scale timber structure is getting really more and more like in a boom. Yeah. Because of the sustainability point of view, use a wood, timber, cut the trees, and then you replant. So the circulation cycle of the forest starts and continuing. So for almost like infinitely, you can achieve the timber materials from the forest by the power of the nature. And then our cycle of the human like a kinds is really harmonized with the natural nature cycle. So that's, I think, the reason why those kind of huge skyscrapers by wooden structures or huge arena by the wooden structures, those kind of things is happening. And in Japan, as you know, we have more than 1,000 years history of traditional wooden construction. And then we have the world oldest wooden temple in Nara Prefecture named Horyuji. And all of those kind of the wooden like a construction tradition has been there. So I thought about it's so like a wonderful time to combine the really latest large-scale wooden construction technology combined with the Japanese traditional technology, wooden construction technology together to create the new types of the wooden construction. That must be really like based on Japan, but then fitting to the sustainability point of view, and then like a good showcase for the expo because so many different countries, so many different peoples are coming to see it. So that's why I decided to make it in wood. And then this junction of columns and then the beams is based on the traditional way. The columns has a holes and then the beams stick in. And then we put the plugs. In the traditional like temples and shrines, we use the wooden plugs. But in these scales, huge scales, 30-meter wide and 20-meter tall, and then we need to fit to the latest like regulations, seismic regulations in Japan. So the wooden plugs doesn't work. So then we together with the contractor, Japanese, three major Japanese contractors, we tested a lot of like the one-to-one scale pieces, destroy again and again to took the datas, and then finally we made the metal plugs. So it's like the combination of the old technology and then the new technology together, and finally made it. So this is like the starting of the construction, place by places. 30-meter wide, and outer side 20-meter tall, inner side 12-meter high. And then we made it like a bank. And then it's like the module and unit. So it's growing. And then the construction took only 1.5 years to create that kind of 2 kilometers huge grand ring. So it's so speedy and so like amazing in a sense. And this is like the view of the space under the ring. And it's really amazing. So this expo itself is until October 13th. So if you have time, or even if you don't have time, I hope you to come to Japan, to Osaka to see it because it is only for 6 months and it is really exceptional something. And of course, I'm now showing those photos, but nothing is like possible to feel it by the photo because the real one is really wonderful. And one more thing is when I went to the site at the first time for the first time, it was 2020, and of course at that time nothing there, so really flat land. And the sky was so huge and so beautiful, and I was almost overwhelmed by the sky. And then I thought, whatever kind of the construction happened, but we couldn't compete against this wonderful sky. Then I thought, then why not to make this sky as a symbol of this expo? And at that time, I was thinking about those kind of the circular shape structures. Then I got an idea. So on that day after the visiting of the site, this is the photos I took on the site of that day. And then I took a Shinkansen train, high-speed train from Osaka to Tokyo, back to Tokyo. And then during this train, I made a simple sketch, this one. On the photo I took, like a photo of the sky, and then I draw white surfaces, and I put those kind of the dots to show as like the people. This is representing the outer edge of the sky is lifted up, which means the rings will cut out the sky as a huge circle. And then you will see the sky as a whole, as like a pure circle, or like another Earth floating above you, something like that. And then by that kind of things, by framing, I thought about making the sky, frame the sky as a symbol of this expo. And then this is like a one sky, which many people at the same time look up. And then this is like the symbol of the diversity and unity. And then you can experience it. And then, of course, the sky, the real sky is wrapping the earth. So from any place on the earth, if when you look up, you are looking up the same sky. So in that sense, this is like the representation of like the unity of the world, and the whole world are sharing such a wonderful, beautiful things. And this is the renderings of the view of the space above the ring. We have like the platform, walking platforms here, 12-meter high, and then some slopes bring you up to the top of 20-meter high, but then all the edge, outer edge is like a bank lifted up. So the entire sky is really like a cutout. And then I have several photos. So this is an aerial photo. So many different types of the pavilions are there. And then I also designed the layout with the site, shape of the site, which is all the site, shape of the site is different. Different directions, different shapes, so that the not only the design and materials, but also the directions and the volumes also should be various. And as a result, it looks like a small earth within this ring, or like a one small cell as a whole. So this kind of the how to say uh, the feelings of diversity within the pure simple ring is there. Then some part of the rings is sticking out to the water, but this is not the sea water, but the water on the island, because this is the island of the land filling, and this area is not yet filled. So it's like an ongoing process of the fillings. And then 2025, we are until this line we finish fillings. But then for the future, this water area to open for the land filling. And then within the ring, we have all the national pavilions, and we have 8 theme pavilions, like a main pavilions, but not only one main pavilions, but we have like 8 different main pavilions. And then out of the ring, we have the corporate pavilions and some restaurants and some like the messe spaces and then so on. So this is a view of the Grand Ring. It's so huge. And it's amazing because this is because the diameter wise, it's a 670 meters something. You will see people are walking on the edge. You can recognize so tiny people walking around over there, far away, far, far, far away over there. But at the same time, you recognize these far away unknown people are on the same ring. So sharing the same place, but they are so far away and we don't know who they are, but still we are together. And especially those kind of the sunset time, it's really amazing because the sunset really calm and then all of the people of hundreds and thousand people just looking into the sun in the same place. So it is like you feel kind of the unity of the different people, diversity, and so on. This is a view of the space under the ring. And of course, it is really shaded. And of course, we also think about the flow of the wind because this is on the seaside. So the wind is always like a blowing. So this like a tunnel is like the wind tunnel to bring the breeze always. So even in the summertime recently, under this ring is not only just the shaded areas, but also like by the breathe and then this height and everything works to make it really like a cooler spaces. And it is interesting because it's huge, huge structures, but because it is a wooden structures, the span of the columns is 3.6 meter. So it is almost like a residential scales. There's kind of the like a 4 columns is 3.6 meter by 3.6 meter. So it's like I don't know, like a size of the bedrooms or something, or size of the rather smaller living spaces. So it is huge, but under the structure, and because of this is wood, and this is 42 centimeter. So it's size of the chair. So many people sit on the ground like under this grid feels like they are in the home in a sense. So it's like a beautiful combination of the human scale and gigantic scale together. And so sensations of like a huge cathedral, but at the same time, it's like a really humankind, human scale, like a cozy space on the bottom. So this kind of the combination of our coexistence of different scales are there. And then in the evening, it is beautifully lit up. This is the view of the rooftop. Escalators bring you up. And this is the one areas we have like the double decker, and then we have a green grass on the roof, so that you can just line on to the grass, and you will see the size of the grand ring, and you will see the edge of the ring is continuing, and you will see so many people are walking over there, and then so many different pavilions within the ring. So it's like the small earth are in front of you, really beautifully harmonized while keeping the crazy diversities of the design and then the philosophy and something, but still harmonized and unity. And everything is under the sky. And this is a sunset view and so on. So this is something like okay, the last things is we had as I said, we had a 1970 Expo. Kenzo Tange designed this huge roof, like a 100-meter wide and 300-meter length and 30-meter tall, something like that. But we had this sculpture in the middle sticking out from the roof. And you can see we had circular sky even in 1970. And this sculpture is actually is only one remainings. This is still the same site of the Expo 20, oh no, 1970. All the other things are just demolished, but only the sculpture is still remainings. And then now it is like a cultural heritage. This is like the symbol of the Expo 1970. But I thought this sculpture, together with the sky, to look into the sky for the future. So I thought this beautiful sky should be kept, and then we grow it bigger, make it bigger for many people, for the world, together within that, and then bring it back to the Osaka again in 2025. So this is also like the continuation from the 1970 Expo to 2025. And then the sky, the message of the sky is like a sharing one things by the whole world, or the symbol of the beautiful, like the ecosystems and living environment. It's there. And this is the photo I took from the airplane. And this is the Grand Ring. And you will see how small this area is. Of course, it's big things, 600 to 70-meter diameter. So we can say it's huge, but compared to the size of the Earth, it is really tiny areas. And then I was so touched to think about, compared to the size of the Earth, so tiny areas, but now so many countries, this time the 158 countries, almost like 80% of the whole world are gathering here in such a tiny places to be together, to create the unity, while we have a lot of like wonderful differences of the cultural background, histories, and traditions, and everything's wonderful diversities. But now we are together in these tiny places and then create our future together. So this is really strong message to the current crisis of the global situation, that we are still can be together. So this is like the concept of the expo, but actually, as I said, you need to see it in reality, because you couldn't miss it. And it is really, really amazing to see it and feel it in reality. So I hope it to come by before October 13th. Thank you very much. So this is the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fujimoto-san. Very, very
Thank you.
interesting. Thank you so much for your generosity in sharing your journey to create the Grand Ring at the Expo in Osaka.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for some questions.
Yeah, yes.
If you may, thank you so much.
Hmm.
We have here one question is from Francisco.
Hmm.
Um, in conceiving and then developing this project, what were the most significant challenges you
Hmm.
encountered as an architect? And then there's
Aha.
a second part to the question.
Yeah.
What extent did social and cultural expectations shape your decisions or weigh on
Hmm.
you before committing to such an ambitious undertaking?
Wow. The big challenge was, of course, I was expecting to have many like criticism and attackings and everything, but it was, of course, far beyond my like expectations. So it was really harsh and tough. And of course, I understand every time those kind of huge projects has like a big discussion about it and the money and then the meetings and then the whatever kind of things. So that kind of the like things happened from mostly like 2022 or 2023 until right before the opening. So it was like really, really tough for me. But at the same time, I decided anyway, at the beginning, I decided to go through everything's, even though whatever kind of the things like against this expo. So yeah, my decision was very strong. So finally, yeah, together with of course all the team members, all the contractors, all the clients and the government, local government and the central government, together with all of them, yeah, finally we went through that. And then after the openings, yeah, everybody is so happy, so excited, and the situation is almost like a gets opposite. So that was like a kind of a interesting experience to see, yeah, how those kind of the national projects go through. But yeah, it was really like a nice. And what was the second question? Is another one is
Yes, certainly.
yeah.
And to what extent did social and cultural expectations shape your decisions
Mm.
or weigh on you before committing to such an ambitious undertaking? This is a very big project, yes. And you mentioned a little bit about taking
Yeah,
a national project like this.
yeah. I think at that time, 2020, no expectations on the expo at the time. So that was like the situation. And then everybody's talking about no meetings, just a waste of the money and something like that. And myself, because I was curious, 1970, Kenzo Tange did the master plan. And then what kind of the different things could happen and how we can understand the current situation of the world and how we can react to that. So it is like a really precious opportunity for me to rethink about all of those kind of the meaning of the era, meaning of expo, meaning of the architecture itself, and so on. And anyway, I thought about if I do it, I will be deeply involved and then I will be attacked. But if I don't do it, then I will be just one of the people outside of the situation. And I thought whatever kind of the hush situation could happen, but I like to be within the situation. And then I like to experience all of those kind of the craziness of this kind of the big project. That was like of course, very strong motivation. And then, as I said in the lecture, I thought about the meaning of the expo is now getting very, very precious, I thought. So, of course, there are many different opinions could happen, but at least I thought it must be very precious things to do something like for the world to be together. And then the architecture design is like creating a place for the people to be together. So this is like the basic definition of the architecture design for me. So this is like the Expo is like the huge version of this definition of the architecture design. So many people, so many countries, so global scale of like a meeting place. So in that sense, yeah, this is like a simple but not like a easy extension of or like updates of the architecture definition of the architecture design.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
There's a question from several people actually. It's
Yeah,
quite simple.
yeah.
Will the Grand Ring remain? Will it stay?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is also very complicated situation. And originally the condition was everything should be demolished to go back to the flat land, to go back to the city, and then city can easily handle to redevelop all the land. That is like the basic thinking of the like a Japanese municipality, at least current situation. And so we started. But of course, yeah, during the design, because this is really symbolic and then this is really huge and impressive. And now I myself, this is very important to preserve it. But it's really political matter. So they are discussing about it. And they are almost like a partially preserving as like the memory of the expo. But of course, this is like an entire thing that's huge. So cost a lot of money for the maintaining and the preserving. So that will be the difficulty. But of course, people who saw it, who experienced it, almost everybody so impressed, especially the foreign people. All of them says you should keep it. Crazy to demolish it. So preserve it. But it is like a nobody knows yet. But the kind of feelings is of the discussion of the political situation is just partially preserving. And that's a bit pity. Yeah.
It truly is impressive. I've been lucky enough to witness it. Uh, there are two things that really impressed me was the impression when you're underneath and inside the structure, and another is when you're on top of the structure itself.
Mhm.
And we have a question here from Eleni. Um,
Mhm.
he says, a wonderful elevated landscape you created, Fujimoto-san.
Mhm.
As a landscape architect, I'm interested in the post-design experience of the space. Do you think your initial vision of creating a community and international meeting point for everyone has been successful?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so far, I believe it is like a good success because it is something I didn't expected clearly so much, but then because of this kind of the Grand Ring, people feel like a psychological safetiness within this ring because you are in the room in a sense, and then people feel because this is made by the words maybe it's not so like aggressive. It's big, but it's not aggressive. It's more close to a human, and then people feel like the same experiences. All the different people, same experiences, and then walking on the ring or under the ring, it is like a I don't know. Everybody looks so happy and then pass by with many people, and then the kids sway hands to foreigners or say hello to foreigners from the above of the rings to the ground level or whatever kind of the that kind of the communication happens. So I think so far I believe it is like a beautiful, in a sense, beautiful infrastructures to support like people's like a journey or experiences in the expo. And then also people feel anyway, once you saw it, once you walk on it, then they feel they experience the entire expo, even though it's just a 10 minutes or whatever. So these feelings of the like a wholeness, and then feelings that they saw the whole world is very like unique and important to open their mind, I think.
Thank you. I think we've probably got time for one more question
Yeah.
before we finish.
Hmm.
Lots have come through, of course. Um, this is about the construction really itself. I mean,
Hmm.
this structure, this grand ring, really resonates with
Hmm.
our last exhibition at Japan House,
Oh yeah.
the craft of
Yeah, true, true.
carpentry, with
Yeah.
with Takenaka
Hmm. Hmm.
Carpentry Tools
Yeah.
Museum in Kobe,
Hmm. Hmm.
and of course Takenaka played a part in creating this grand
Yeah.
ring. Yes.
Yeah.
The grand ring is a fusion of Japanese craftsmanship, the
Hmm.
traditions of carpentry, and
Hmm.
contemporary engineering.
Hmm. Hmm.
This question from Raphael is: were there moments when modern techniques clashed with the
Hmm.
traditions of Japanese timber
Uh-huh.
construction?
Uh-huh.
And were there any opportunities? How did you reconcile these differences?
I see. I see. Yeah. Actually, not crashed, but anyway, it was like the first things for us, for the Japanese contractors, to make this kind of the mixtures of the metal plugs with this like the traditional method, and then the Takenaka, Obayashi, and then the Shimizu. So those three like mega contractors, and then the Takenaka and Obayashi, all of them has like the origin is those kind of the carpentry. So they have like a prize or pride of those kind of the craftsmanship. So they did testing. They made a mock-up and then they destroy it and then they took the data and then find out how strong and which way to go and so and so on. So they made a 10 times, 20 times of those kind of the destroying test individually, but they shared the data to each other so that they understand more like deeply about the project. And then, but finally, even though they shared the data, finally they decided to make this plug by their own way for each. So three different contractors and three different types of the metal plugs are finally there. So you will see area by area, the joints and the plugs is different. And then the philosophy is different. Like the Obayashi's one is more like the hidden plugs as much as possible. Takenaka's one's a metal plug, but looks like the traditional like wooden shapes. And then the Shimizu one is using the combination of the wooden metal plugs. So three different like a philosophy, but all of them has like I was so pleased to see finally they said they like to do their own style, the way. And then I said, okay, yeah, let's do that because it is very important to respect those pride of them. And that was like not crushed, but it's really like a beautiful story during the design and the process.
Thank you very much. That's a harmonious note to end on, I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
Fujimoto-san, thank you so much for
Thank you.
having so generously given your time today to talk about your work at Expo 2025 in Osaka. I would just before we disappear like to let everybody know, of course, at Japan House. We have several activities which are related to Expo. You've mentioned already um, Expo 70, of course. We
Hmm.
have here a display in our library, the Future Memories. You
Hmm.
can see your book there as well in the library. I mean, you've created probably a legacy. People will remember you as
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
now,
I hope
like
so.
Okamoto Taro and
Yeah.
the Tower
Yeah.
of the Sun and Tange Kenzo, of course.
Hmm.
So this is about Expo. So please do come
Hmm.
along and see that. We also are celebrating Osaka and
Hmm.
Expo in our travel information area as well. There's a big Kansai theme running through Japan
Hmm.
House at the moment, and we have also just recently
Hmm.
today, in fact, opened a display of talismanic figurines from the Kansai region,
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
Nara,
Nice. Yeah.
from around the Kansai area. And not quite with Kansai, but to do with Britain and Japan now, of course. England is hosting the Women's World Rugby at the end of this month. And we have a talking conversation with Tamai Kie and Tamura Kazuhiro about women's rugby in Japan coming up on the 21st of August. And of course, we do have our pictograms exhibition open to the public. Pictograms, iconic
Correct.
Japanese designs. Fascinating look into graphic design and the environment we live in and how important they are. Thank you once again, Fujimoto-san. Thank you to your
Thank
team as
you.
well for putting this all together. Thank you to everybody who's been watching online. And just a reminder that you can see this again on YouTube, where you can go over this talk once again and tell everybody about it as well. Once again, thank you so much, everybody who spent the
Thank
time to
you.
join us today, and to you especially, Fujimoto-san. Many thanks,
Thank
and we hope
you.
to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.